Hello, everyone. It's Charlton, and this couple, Seth Welch and Tatiana Fusari, were charged today with first-degree child abuse and felony murder. And the charges were read to them in court. That was actually videoed, and I'm going to show you that right here. Actually, that's how I was introduced to the story over the Daily Mail. They have this, and it shows the reaction where they're shocked at how severe the charges are, because they could be facing life in prison, and it's as a result of because of the starvation death of their 10-month-old daughter. And according to court records, they didn't seek medical help, partly for religious reasons. So, he has a Facebook page with many videos where he's basically live streaming uh, for a half hour at a time, hour at a time, over and over and over. Um, reading from scripture, talking about religious matters, but in some videos he actually talks about vaccinations and things like that. One of them is, it seems to be focused on again and again in the reports because of the nature of the situation, obviously. So on Thursday, he posted about his daughter's death. It was the last post, August 2nd at 7:08 p.m. that evening. As I understand it, a 911 call was placed around noon that same day, calling the authorities to the house, and I believe it was already known to them that their daughter had passed away, at least according to this post, because it says, woke up to Mary dead in her bed this morning. This evening, had our children removed and placed on no contact because Toddy, his wife, and I are the worst parents ever. Thankfully, they are with Grandma and Grandpa, his parents. Just numb inside right now, and I'm really enjoying the loving embrace of an isolation cell from the cops and government employees who keep assuring me they are only here to help. I'm not certain what he means by isolation cell. To the best of my knowledge, they weren't arrested until the next day, on the 3rd, on the Friday, after the autopsy showed that the baby had died from starvation and malnutrition. And then they were arrested. And then they were charged. Um, I think charged on Monday, yesterday, even though it's Wednesday. It's 2:46 in the morning. So, but when they were charged with felony murder and first degree child abuse, and they could be facing up to life in prison. Um, here's the court appearance right here. Let me play that.
They're alleging that you murdered one Mary Welch. That is a charge called homicide felony murder. It is life without parole. It requires a DNA sample to be taken upon arrest, which is often like a cotton swab or in the inside of your cheek. The second offense that you're both charged with is called child abuse in the first degree, where they're alleging you knowingly or intentionally caused serious physical harm to a child. They're talking about this Mary Welch. It is a felony, possible penalty of up to life imprisonment or any term of years less than life. Now, those are the two separate.
And in this article, during interviews, it says during interviews, both parents' admissions were made that they were aware of Mary Welsh's skinny appearance and low weight for at least 1 month prior to this date. And Tatiana Fusari admitted during the interview that they failed to reach out for medical help with their daughter uh, um, for fear of having children removed by Child Protective Services, lack of faith and trust in medical services, and religious reasons. So, and Seth, the father, he actually mentions CPS in his videos, experiences with him in the past with his other children, with his first daughter. Right here, actually, I'll play it for you in a second. But, you know, um, it's just video after video. Most of it's reading scripture and stuff like that. But and on his farm, which is called and it's where they live, I believe, is Black Acre Farm Products, where they sell produce and honey and stuff like that. So it's obviously tragic. It's his daughter is pictured here, right there, and she looks a little small there, but you know, uh, uh, I think that that's not when that's from before. So I don't know. You know, here's him just speaking into his live stream. There's video after video and on his page. I mean, it's many of them, and um, most of it's of him speaking about scripture. You know, other times he's addressing, and he has a routine where I think where he reads the scripture, then he rereads the scripture and talks about how it relates to his life. But I think in some instances, I didn't watch every video, and each video is 20 minutes long, 45 minutes long, an hour long. They're live streaming. Um, you know, he in some videos, I think he gets a little bit more animated than others. In fact, this one, it's literally labeled, labeled vaccinations, health, and medical industry. You know, he has fairly strong opinions on the subject, and so
pharmaceuticals, vaccinations, medical industry. So, for example, I'll give you an example of bad medicine. Uh, when my first daughter was born, I was still kind of on the plantation, a bit like that. I still thought I had to kind of like report to the government willingly, and very just okay, bring the kid to the doctor. Like I was on the fence, like I didn't want to get my kid vaccinated, but I was just like I was afraid. I didn't know what was going to happen if I said no. And what happened when I said no is I got CPS called on me. But I learned, just how to deal. And eventually we just got off of it. And that was that. None of my other, Mary and John both haven't had their vaccines. I don't think John's been sick a day in his life. The kid is a little machine. Yeah, pretty incredible, really. So, when my daughter, I was still going to the doctor. I was following up with the doctor appointments, whatever. I was kind of shaking the bars, but I was still doing it. And the doctor measured Elizabeth's head, and he said, her head is 1 millimeter out of round. Her head isn't round enough. It's not the proper shape. We need to prescribe her a head-shaping helmet to bring her head back into proper alignment, and that costs about $3,500. I was like, no way, no way. How ironic is this, though? I mean, like, it's kind of sick when you think about it, because didn't, like, the ancient Chinese used to do that with their heads?
There are other videos. In fact, in this right here, that's from that same video. He talks about evolution and survival of the fittest, and
got CPS called on him when he refused to get his first daughter vaccinated.
Didn't seem smart to me that you would be saving people who weren't the fittest. If evolution believes in survival of the fittest, well, then why are we vaccinating everybody? Shouldn't we just let the weak die off and let the strong survive?
He says his youngest two, including Mary, were never vaccinated.
So, and here's just another video of him talking about the church.
And what happens when you're born again? You got to grow into adulthood and mature, right? So we gotta mature ourselves on earth as we are to behave in heaven. I have met many people who say, oh, I can't wait for Jesus to come back. Oh, I can't wait for Jesus to come back. Oh, I'm so tired of this world. So stop living in it. So start living differently. Start living the kingdom of heaven. Start doing what we're supposed to do here. Oh, I don't know what we're supposed to do. Well, you need to read the book. And if you've been going to church for 40 years and you don't know what we're supposed to do to live the kingdom of heaven, your pastor is a hireling. He's fleecing you. He's fleecing you. That's why he keeps you ignorant, so that you still feel the guilt burden and keep the money coming, because that's how he gets paid, because he doesn't work with his hands. He doesn't do anything outside of that to support himself, which is unscriptural. He needs to have his own works. He is not to be a leech. You want to know who gets church welfare? Widows, orphans. Widows, orphans, okay? Not the pastor. The pastor doesn't get church welfare. He's a man. He needs to work for himself. He needs to feed himself. You see, we're the...
So I believe they were not allowed to have they're still in custody. They weren't given bond, I believe, but I'm not positive of that. There's just a lot to this story. On vaccines, the righteous shall live by faith. It's God who is sovereign over disease and those sorts of things, and of course, ultimately, deaths. On Monday, CPS filed a neglect case against the parents involving the two older children, 4 and 2, who are staying with his parents' home. Oh my goodness. On Friday, on Facebook, Welsh recently wrote that his wife is pregnant with their 4th child. Wow. I just learned that right there. That's first. Not sure if I'm pretty sure they're still in custody. All right, well, that's the story there. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.